Let's start by folding our fabric into half and having the folded side on our left mark half of our waist size. The reason for this is the fabric being folded in half. From our waist size downwards, go ahead and mark the length of our skirt. We would have a huge rectangle. Now we're going to cut the piece. Fold the top part of the skirt a 1/4 inch downward and sew it in place. We are just hemming the raw edges so it doesn't fray. Now fold the hemmed part of a skirt 1 inch down and sew it in place. This little hole is where our elastic is going to go in. But before that, we need to sew the sides of our skirt, layer them on top of each other and sew it in place. Also remember not to sew the part where the elastic is going to go inside. The size of our elastic should be the size of our waist minus 1 to 2 inch. Insert a bobby pin or safety pin into the elastic, just like that. Thread the elastic into the skirt, push the fabric and pull the bobby pin, and continue to push the fabric and pull the pin inside. And before you know it, you will have the elastic out on the other end. That was so easy, wasn't it? Remove the bobby pin now, as we don't need it anymore. Gather the fabric inside and sew the elastic along with the opening. Sew this really strong as we do not want the ends to part or break. Use as many stitches as you want. It's gotta be really strong. All the edges and openings should be sewed intact. Once you're done, cut the excess elastic. Flip the skirt inside out and our skirt is ready. Now we're moving to the most tough part, the blouse. Well, before we begin, if you are an expert in sewing, please look away, as it is not a regular top sewing method. I had this weird idea in my mind and I just wanted to test it out. Others, stay with me. We're going to start by making a tube top. Measure the length and width of your body, mark it, and cut the rectangle off. Fold the raw edges to make the center of the blouse. This is going to be our back piece where our zipper is going to go. Fold all of the raw edges 1/4 inch and hem them, as we do not want any thread peeling off here and there or fraying, plus it gives you a nice finish. Once you're done sealing the raw edges, this is how it's gonna look. And we're gonna sneak in our zipper in there and sew it in place. Not just the zipper, but sew the whole back piece together. Once that's done, we're gonna have a back piece with a functional zipper. It actually works. I'm gonna cut both the sides off as I wanna have more room if in case I needed to do any alterations in the end. Now, we're gonna have two separate pieces, front and back. Set that aside for a minute while we make our shoulders. Measure your shoulder to body length and cut out a rectangle and hem only one side of it. Insert our shoulder strip into our back piece with the hem side facing inside. Sneak the other shoulder strip in as well and sew that in place. Push your fabric and do the same for the front piece as well. You are now left with a square in the middle. This will be the neck of our dress. I hope that wasn't too confusing. Now, with an old top as a reference, I'm going to cut out the armhole. Mark it with a pencil and carefully cut it out. Now, a few stitches may come out. We need to restitch those as well. Well, congratulations, you made a blouse in a really weird way. Moving on to the arm piece, cut a piece of rectangle 2 to 3 inches more than your arm. I had an old piece of t-shirt sleeve cut off as a reference. This method was too easy and perfect to draft a sleeve pattern. All you have to do is trace the sleeve and have a seam allowance. It's fail-proof. You will never get a sleeve pattern wrong with this method. Trust me. Measure your wrist with a seam allowance. The 2 fingers are for the seam allowance. Fold the fabric into half, and from the fold, mark the size of your wrist and move upward to measure and mark where the elbows are, both the length and width. Now from our elbow, mark the length and width of our arm. We now have our arm, elbow, and wrist. Now join all the dots together to have our sleeve pattern, which we're going to cut now. This is going to look exactly like our sleeve. That's our sleeve right there. Now go make another one. Hey, we have 2 hands, right? Now hem the wrist part of our sleeve. This is how we're going to place the sleeve into our armhole. Pin it before you sew it because this part has a lot of curves and it's not a good idea winging it. so it's good to pin everything in place before our needle and thread action. Look how perfect it's turned out. I'm so pleased. Now would be a good time for you to like, share, and subscribe to my channel. For the final finishing, sew the front and back piece of our blouse together. From arm to body, a straight stitch. Should be a breeze if you're using a sewing machine, but I'm gonna hand stitch this, which is gonna take many years. Look at that final result. I'm glad it worked out. Now, to seal off the bottom of the blouse, cut two 2-inch rectangle pieces and hem only one side of them, and arrange it as shown in the video, basically a V shape. This will be Fiona's blouse bottom detailing, and sew it in place. Make sure all the ends are really sealed. Now, for the fun part, we're gonna do the details in Fiona's neck and bottom part of the blouse. Using this lace trim, we are basically gonna place it along the neckline and sew it. You can also glue gun it. It's your wish. And do the same thing for the V part of the blouse. I went ahead and glued it as I didn't have a gold thread to match. Or maybe I forgot to buy one. Now for the final flowery details in Fiona's blouse, I bought this leaf ribbon from dollar store. I'm going to cut it into small pieces and randomly glue it on the blouse. You can also refer Fiona's pictures if you need any patterns to work on it. And here's the final product. I'm super excited and literally crying over this dress. I cannot believe I hand sewed the whole thing. I am so glad I got the details right, as the devil is in the details, right? I also finished the ends of the back piece just as we did for the front, by attaching 2 more rectangle pieces. I even attached a rope at the back, just to hold everything in place. This step is totally optional. I felt my neck was too wide, so I did this, but it's totally up to you. Overall, I love everything about this dress and I'm amazed how it turned out. Here are some fun clips and the reason why I don't show my face on camera. Enjoy! Thank you so much for watching. I hope you liked the video and see you next time.